Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rachakodash. That belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect that day. Akim to Zadakim. That do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. On the priest Shaman, this week's topic is going to be entitled Prioritize Health or Prioritize Diet and Exercise. Prioritize diet and exercise. Yeah, man, diet and exercise should be a part of being in the truth. Why is that? Well, first of all, let me just go to some scriptures. Ecclesiasticus chapter 30, verse 15. Health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. That makes me think about these elites that a lot of them, for the most part, they go through life without any aches and pains or what have you for majority of their life. But when the Most High puts a thorn in your side or some sort of disease or ailment, and He wants you to perish, you can't. There's not enough money in the world to reverse that. So, as it says in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 6, life and death pretty much, is in the hands of the Most High. We see, or we should treat diet and exercise like the works. Faith is, I believe that the Most High is going to take care of my body. I have faith. I pray over what I eat. These things, that's the faith part. And the works part is, taking consideration what you put in the body and making sure that you're exercising. Verse 16, there is no riches above a sound body and no joy above the joy of the heart. So the two work in tandem. It's very hard for your spirit to be in a well state when your body's fucked up, because it brings down the spirit. You know what I'm saying? So the two works in tandem. And the apostles, the elders, we get into lessons like this time and time again, man. There's different herbs you could go into, different things you could do to take care of yourself. That's something you should prioritize in this thing. In fact, there's many brothers that's gone through ailments, all right? And the ailments kind of come down later in life, later down the road. And sometimes those ailments could get out of control to where, you're trying to reverse this effect and it's kind of too late. You know what I'm saying? That's how come there's a saying, I always say it, prevention is better than cure. To try to mitigate these things that could possibly happen to us, we're not waiting for some crazy shit to happen to us. We don't want to get hit with diabetes. So what? We cut down on the sugar. We do things like intermittent fasting. We don't want to get diabetes and then try to reverse it. Definitely don't want to get our body so fucked up that they got to cut us open and shit. Because Apostle Tahar made a good point. Once they cut you open, you're never the same. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want things to get to that point. Completely destroy your body and then, shit, this, that, and the third, I did it to myself. Nah, man. You want to be on top of it now. 1 Corinthians 6:19. What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit? Why is your body the temple? Because the truth dwells inside your body. And the word body means bodeg, right? Which goes back to house. It's a dwelling for your spirit. So you want your spirit to dwell in a sound temple. Like if your spirit is in a good house, all right, it's gonna be much different than being think about it, man. If you've been into a very nice, luxurious home or apartment or what have you, it's very different than when you're in the slums and shit. It affects your spirit. Same thing too when your body's in the good state as opposed to when it's battling ailments and shit, especially when it's self-inflicted. So that's what we're trying to avoid. We don't want self-inflicted ailments. And Esau is a devil, but he's not forcing specifically what goes down what you eat. He's not putting a Twinkie next to your mouth and forcing you to eat it. Now, in the hood, you'll notice that there's a lot less healthier options and a lot more fast food. I noticed that when I'm in Manhattan, where people are wealthy or rich and shit like that, you don't see much fat people at all like that. They be jogging, And they have limited options. Most of their stuff is restaurants, cooked food. You don't see a lot of fucking fast food places. Why is that? Because the so-called white man knows the effect and power of food, man. What it does to the brain, what it does to the mind. You know, when you how it can keep people sedated, how it can fuck their brain up and shit. So they put all that shit where Jake is at. So when you go to the hood, you start going down to the ghettos and shit. Like, you know, you jump on the train and you start going down to, once you pass, what was it, 110th? I didn't take the train in a minute, but once you hit 125th and start going even higher, you start seeing like, holy shit. You see the weight go up, people getting fatter and shit, you know what I'm saying? So, if it wasn't important, then why the hell would the so-called white man use it as a tool to really keep our people fucked up? You know, it says, read it again, 1 Corinthians 6:19. What, know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, which is in you, which ye have of the Most High, and ye are not your own. And I want to make a point too. The problem too with Jake is, Jake will know what he's not supposed to eat and be like, yo, I still, you know, he just can't let it go. You know, sometimes I relapse and shit, and I'll be liking pastries, but I know damn well them pastries will fuck you up. You know? So that's really the problem with Jake. Jake will know, like, look, I'm not supposed to eat that, but let me just eat a little bit. A little bit won't hurt, but that little bit start to compound and fuck you up. And Esau knows this, man. That's how come he played with the portion size. You might look at the back of something and be like, oh, it's only this much calories, but guess what? That little bag might be like 5 servings in it. So you're getting 5 times all the, you know, the shit you're not supposed to really be eating. 20. For ye are bought with a price. Therefore, what's that price? Yahushua's blood when he went on that cross. That's the price. Ultimate sacrifice. Sacrifice his life. Now we got to sacrifice our life for him. So we're dead to the world that Yahushua may live through us. 20. For ye are bought with a price. Therefore, glorify the Most High in your body and in your spirit, which are the Most High's. Right. So again, this is how come we go out there in the highways and byways. We make sure we're doing our lessons out throughout the week. Why? To glorify Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, making our bodies a living sacrifice. Now, I'm going to bring out this scripture because this kind of deal with the whole, I'm just going to eat a little bit of this. I'm just going to a little bit of that. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And how it compounds. It says, Proverbs 23:20 says, be not among wine bibbers. What's a wine bibber? Somebody that overindulges in drinking. Among riotous eaters of flesh. And that's somebody that gluttonous. You can't be overindulgent. And the thing is, man, the portion sizes here, man, America is really a death trap, man, when it really comes to, like, taking care of your body, because food is so constantly available. You know, really, we're not supposed to be eating like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the ancient world, you had to go out, you had to cook, you had to, it took time and shit. It took a whole bunch, you know, meals was prepped and all that. Now, the abundance of fast food and Uber Eats and DoorDash, and then the choice is like French fries, man, you see the average American is overweight. You know, and by the time you're up in age, you just a slave to the hospitals, and that's really the purpose. That's the goal, because they make money off you while you're younger, and then by the time you're older, they got you in the hospital for life, because all that bad eating habits, all the lack of exercise and shit that accumulated, all right, and they pretty much got you on a string, and they know how to do just enough to keep you going and fucked up at the same time. That's the witchcraft with this devil. It says, so you ain't supposed to be gluttonous, man. You know, not supposed to be overindulgent. 21. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty. Right. That's how it goes, man. If you overindulge in anything, it's going to bring you to poverty, man, because you have to know how to balance your shit out. It says, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. Right, because if you constantly lazy and shit, and I don't want to move, you just eat and relax, you ain't never gonna get shit done. And then guess what? It says you're gonna be clothed with rags, because it makes you sluggish. That's what this food do, man. You know. So we don't want to fall into that lot. The scriptures is filled with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And so the scriptures is telling us about these things is for our own betterment. The scriptures is not telling you to overindulge and go to Uber Eats and don't exercise. The scriptures is telling you quite the opposite. That your body is a temple. You should take care of it. You should be mindful of what you put in it. All right? It's literally a part of the truth. We're not on some bodybuilding Mr. Olympia type shit, but you should have some sort of concern about your temple. If you drink it too much, you got to cut down on that. If you're doing XYZ too much, you got to cut down on it. Why? Because you don't want that shit to compound. And next thing you know, you took a small thing and made it a large thing. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 8, it says, "For bodily exercise profiteth little." Right. Now, bodily exercise profiteth little, but it didn't say it didn't profit. I always say, a 5% phone is better than a dead phone. Because at least with 5%, you can make calls, you can do something. So it's the same thing, too, with this exercise thing, You don't have to be some super gym rat type shit, but you gotta put in something. You gotta do something, Sometimes your work might be an exercise. You have a job that physically you gotta do a lot, so that's your exercise in that. But if you have like a desk job, then guess what? That's not cutting it. You gotta find a way to work out. You know what I'm saying? Keep the body active. Do the fast, do the juice fast, do all these things, man, to take care of your body. And again, it's faith and works, because you don't see people in the world that are on this shit harder than any of us, and still the Most High jack them up. So it's faith and works. I'm praying the Most High take care of my body, and I put the right things in it, and whatever I consume go to the health and strength of your temple. But at the same time, the work part is I'm being mindful of what I'm putting in that temple. It's just like when we go to drive, you go to drive to a destination, you pray the Most High make it, you make it to your destination safely. But guess what? You still put on a seatbelt, right? Not only because you don't want to get hit with a ticket, but that's a part of the works. You don't want to tempt the Most High. So we're not just gonna run around here and, well, the world's gonna be destroyed. Yeah, we know America's gonna be destroyed, but that shouldn't be a license to just say fuck it and destroy the temple, the body. So it says, "For bodily exercise profiteth little, but godliness profiteth unto all things." Right. So the first and foremost is you have to have the spiritual body on point. All right. It says, "Profiteth unto all things, having promise of the life that now is, and of that which is to come." And I was about to go to Daniel, but I'll just sum it up. When you go to the book of Daniel, chapter 1, verse 12 to 15. Actually, let me just read it. Fuck it. Daniel's 1 and 12. "Prove thy servant, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse." So this is Daniel's and the 3 holy children. Proving that, look, we ain't want to fuck with the king's meat because that shit was unlawful. It was, and it was like, why you not eating it? And, he said, look, we're going to eat with the, we're not going to have that stuff defile our temple. So it doesn't matter, not only from a lawful standpoint, right, what you eat, because you can have certain things that are lawful, but if you overindulge in poison, it's going to destroy your body. Right? It says, we also know that according to Leviticus 11, the 11th chapter, here's a dietary law. So that right there lets us know that our diet is a part of the truth, because there's a Levitical law in Leviticus, the 11th chapter, concerning what you could put in. This thing is like a car. Your body's like a car. You can't just put any type of oil in your car. You put cooking oil, talking about, oh, it's oil, you're going to destroy your shit. So you have to be, the Lord's saying, look, this thing has to run a certain way. This is what needs to be put in it. And if you don't put this in it, or you put XYZ in it, this thing could kill you. See? It says, "Prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink, vegetable." They pretty much went on like a fruit vegetable fast right here. Avoided the meat for 10 days. "Let our countenance be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat, and as thou seest, deal with thy servants. So he said, look, I bet you if we just eat, vegetables and lentils, look at our countenance, look at theirs after 10 days and see what happened. So he consented to them in this matter and prove them 10 days. So 10 days, just, lentils and pulse. And at the end of the 10 days, their countenance appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat. Right, so they had a better countenance, they had a better appearance, proving what? That diet is very important. You know what I'm saying? That diet, a little bit of exercise, all that stuff compounds, man. All right, over time. Because if you don't take care of yourself, these things could catch up to you, man. It could even be fatal in some cases, bro. Really put hospitalized brothers. It could put brothers in some real particular jams. So let's not tempt the Most High in this way. And if we could do our best of our ability to, make it a priority too, man. All right. Diet and exercise. So with that, I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Chakadash, that belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Mill So True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim to Zadakim that do this thing in their most truth and sincerity. Shalom.